Hey, what's up, guys? My name is David, and today we're going to learn how to play the Studio, the card game. In this game, each player at the table is a rapper competing to release the best project over a number of rounds. Every player at the table has a project card which tells them which types of cards they need to collect in order to complete their mixtape or album. The game plays over a number of rounds called years. During each year, players collect different cards to fulfill those requirements. The value of their project is equal to the sum of the cards. At the end of the year, projects that have been released are ranked, and points are awarded based on how those projects chart. And that's the game in a nutshell. The winner is the first player to reach 10 points. All right, let's talk about setup. First, we're going to take our project deck, which has the yellow back on it, and we're going to remove all of the mixtape cards. Mixtape cards are the cards that have two components on them. So we'll remove these from the deck. Then we'll give them a quick shuffle, and we'll randomly deal one mixtape to each player at the table. The remaining mixtapes get shuffled back into the project deck. All right, let's talk about the table setup. So every player at the table should have a project mixtape card face up in front of them. And then in the center of the table, we have 3 rows of face-up cards in their corresponding decks. Starting at the bottom, we have the studio cards with the red back. Next are our industry cards in the middle. And at the top, we have our project cards. Save room next to each of these decks for discard piles. And then on the right, we have our quarter cards numbered 1 through 4 with a Q1 card turned face up. We're going to take our event cards with the red back and we're going to put those aside. Every player can get a reference card. And if it's your first time playing, I would recommend not playing with the character cards. So we're going to take those and put them back in the box. Now let's talk about how the game flows. Remember these quarter cards? Every round is broken into 4 quarters, and a quarter is 1 rotation around the table where each player takes turn performing 1 action per round. Once you get back to the starting player, have someone flip over the next card so you can keep track of what quarter you're in. The game continues until you reach the end of the 4th quarter, and then you move on to scoring. There are 5 different types of actions you can perform on your turn. The first option is to take a studio card from either the face-up cards or the top of the deck. Studio cards are needed in order to fulfill the requirements for your project. There are 3 types: verses, beats, and hooks. Each studio card has a value on it, which contributes to the total sum of the project. Whenever you take any of the face-up cards from the table, make sure you replace it with a card from its corresponding deck. The next action is to take an industry card from the face-up cards or the top of the deck. Whenever you pick up an industry or a studio card, those cards go in your hand, which you keep hidden from other players at the table. Our third option is to actually play an industry card. Now, I'm going to circle back and explain how the different industry cards work, but just know that most industry cards require a separate action in order to play them. Next is swapping a project. So if you don't like the project that you're working on, you can discard it and pick a new project from either the face-up cards or the top of the deck. As soon as you get this new project, it's placed face-up in front of you. Changing out your project doesn't remove any of the bonus cards that may have been already added on that former project. Our final action is to release a project. Once you've collected the required cards for your album or mixtape, as your action, you can place them face up on top of your project card. As soon as you release, you immediately get a new project card from either the face-up cards or the top of the deck. Your released project will now be charted at the end of the year during scoring. While you can only release one project per action, it is technically possible to release multiple projects within a year. These separate projects get charted independent of one another, allowing you to earn points for more than one place in the charts. Okay, before we talk more about scoring, I want to circle back to industry cards. There are 4 different types of industry cards: promo cards, boosts, swaps, and features. If you remember, industry cards are bonus cards that add additional value to your projects or give you special abilities that you can use during the game. Promo cards can be played on any project and add value to that project based off of the number on the card. There are 2 types of promo cards: pre-promos and post-promos. Pre-promos are played before an album is released, and post-promos are played after. In this example, in Q2, I could play a pre-promo on my active project. In Q3, I could release the project. And then in Q4, I could play my post-promo to boost the value of this already released mixtape. Boosts are similar to project cards in that they increase the value of the project they are a part of. However, instead of using a separate action, boosts can be played when a project is released, so long as that type of boost matches the studio component in the released project. Swaps act just like studio cards. Once they're in your hand, they can be used like studio components for your album or mixtape. The catch with swaps is when a swap is face up on the table, in order to pick it up, you'd have to discard a studio card of that same type. If you happen to pull a swap card from the top of the industry deck, you are not required to discard a card in order to keep it. The last type of industry card is the feature card. As an action, you can ask another player at the table for a feature, and they have to give you the highest studio or swap card in their hand of that type. But be careful, if they don't have a card of that type, you get nothing. After playing a feature card, the feature card goes in the discard pile. And now we're on to scoring. At the end of the 4th quarter, look at all the released projects on the table and rank them from best to worst based on the value of the project. The rapper at the top of the charts gets 3 total points. Second gets 2 points. And in a 2 or 3 player game, third place gets 0 points. However, in a 4-player game, third place gets 1 total point. Tiebreakers are spelled out in more detail in the rulebook. You can keep score using a pencil and paper, but there's also a really helpful web app that'll keep score for you. Scan the QR code or visit the studio.cards and hit scorecard in the menu. After scoring, we move on to the event phase. Every player receives a card from the event deck, and then these cards are played in the same order that play proceeded in that current year. Think of event cards like chance cards in Monopoly. They can be good or bad and even add more cards to your hand. If you happen to earn or lose total points during the event phase, be sure to update your score in the app. Now that the year is over, it's time to reset the table. All of the face-up cards in the center of the table get discarded. Next, discard any projects that were released in that year. If a project was not released, it does not get discarded, but instead rolls over to the next year. Any sort of bonus cards that are on that unreleased project stay with it. Finally, we reset the quarter cards. And we deal out new face-up cards. The starting player rotates clockwise, and now we begin the new year. And that's it. The game ends when a player hits 10 total points. This can occur during the scoring phase or if total points were earned off an event card. Typically, games last about 5 or 6 years. If you want to watch a quick walkthrough of an entire year being played, click the video above. I also made another video explaining the 2-player variant, so you can still have a fun and competitive game even when just playing with 2 people. Hope you enjoy the game, and thanks for playing the studio.